All right. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live with Mel Rapozo. We'll kick back a couple of minutes while everybody gets on. And hopefully everybody's having a great day. Today is October 10th, and it is 5:30. Aloha, Michelle, Brian, gosh, Paul, Joseph. Oh, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Larry Aruda. Awesome. Patsy, John, Jenny. Welcome aboard. Gosh, we loaded them up. I'm hoping that this connection will stay put. We've had problems a couple of times. So if in fact we go off the air, just hang tight. We got our backup system in place, so we'll go ahead and get right back online. So I apologize up front. Hey, Melinda, how's it going? Aloha, Jay. And Tiffany and Pono, Dick, welcome aboard. Gosh, you guys waiting all week for this. Thank you so much for joining. As you know, we do this every single Wednesday at 5:30 in an attempt to get out and meet each and every one of you, listen to your questions and comments, and hopefully connect with all of you. As you know, election is less than a month away. It's November 6th. More importantly, the absentee ballots goes out next week, Tuesday, on the 16th, and it may even come out earlier. So there's Patsy on the back of they all can see you. I got my awesome support staff here. Sarah is here monitoring your comments as well as I, but also the email. You can type in your question or comments. Aloha, Terrence and Loki and Darren and Tyler. Gosh, we got everybody on board today. Jeez, might be a record participation day. I love it. Terrence said hi, Patsy. Anyway, so yeah, the ballots may actually come out earlier than the 16th. We really don't know. We targeted, or they're telling us the 16th, but if it's like the primary, it'll come out a little earlier. So, and aloha, Louise and Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Lisa, hope your centipede bite is better today. I'm so deadly afraid of centipedes. You know, those things were around long before dinosaurs. You guys all know that, right? So yeah, thank you all for joining us, and we'll go through some dates later on today. We do have a question. Still trying to get a bus stop at the cross between Papalina and Waha. We did send it across, Brianna, and the state obviously they do not do bus stops, and we're trying to get the county to maybe do like a whole Lokai project where we can put up the materials and the community can actually build the stop. I know, Brianna, I share your frustration because even as a council member, I get to run around a lot as well. So I got my little notepad here. I will follow up tomorrow on that and we'll make that thing happen, okay? Okay, dokie. I will try my best, Brianna. You know, that's why I need to be the mayor, you know, so we can get these things done. You know, as a council member, it's frustrating because we send over a request. We're trying to help our constituents. And oftentimes we get the runaround as well. So, Brent, I will follow up. I will follow up tomorrow morning with the administration. Aloha, Kehao. Larry, you've probably already done it, but can you go over the proposed county charter amendments? Are any of them real critical? I will say we do go over that every week, and I didn't bring my cheat sheet. There is one on the Planning Zoning Board of Appeals. That is something that they thought would work. It didn't work. So this is really a housekeeping measure that we will, aloha Kit, that we will, I'm voting no. I'm voting yes. We need to clean up the charter. And it brings up a good point about putting things in the charter versus in ordinance form, because when you put something in the charter, to remove it from the charter or to amend it requires an action only at the general election. So we got to be very careful when we start messing with the charter. So that's one of them that is a house cleaning measure. Also one for the public defender. There was a time on Kauai in the county that the county provided the public defender for defendants that were unable to afford their own attorney. That no longer exists because that's a state function. So that is another housekeeping measure that you should vote yes on. There's one on the Salary Commission that should the Salary Commission be the setting authority of salaries. Right now, the Salary Commission meets. They do their assessment analysis and send over a recommendation to the council. The councils have the ability to accept or deny or amend. and that is what the current practice is. And this charter amendment would set the authority solely with the Salary Commission. So if the Salary Commission would set the salaries, the council would have no ability to change it or deny it. I kind of like that because they do the independent, or what should be an independent assessment, and their recommendations should stand. But when it comes to the council, then you get the outside forces, the political forces. So that's one that I would like to see changed. But again, some people on the opposing side will say, no, you want the council to take a look at these salaries in the event it's too high, or the council believes that it's not warranted. And we have rejected salaries in the past, salary recommendations, because we simply couldn't afford it. So, I'll leave that one up to you. There is, what's the fourth and the fifth? Larry, sorry, I don't have the cheat sheet with me. I know it's around here somewhere. I'll go pull it and get it. And it will come to me, I'll bring it up. But that's the three that I remember offhand. Zoning Board of Appeals, Salary Commission. Oh, term limits. The term limits is on there as well. There's a proposal to remove term limits. That one, as I've stated every week, I leave that entirely up to you. There's pros and cons. Many feel that the term limit is at the ballot box, that when the people are tired of the performance of a council member, then they vote them out. This way, it really denies the right of the voter to keep a council member that they like. But again, I'm not gonna make a position on that one. I'll leave that entirely up to you. Right now, we have an 8-year term limit. Obviously, I'm in my 8th year, so my term is up. I cannot run for council anymore. Myself and Councilmember Yukimura. There was a time where incumbents could never get out of office. It was just, you could never get rid of them. Now, as you saw in the last election, they got rid of the council chair. He didn't make his term limit. Neither did Councilmember Hoosier, neither did Councilmember Bynum, the late Councilmember Bynum. So I think the whole process has changed. The voters are speaking up, and they have the ability to get a council member out if they choose to. So again, that one I'll leave up to you all. And there's one more which it'll come to me. It will come to me shortly. So anyway, some news real quick. We have a new website. It is melwinskawaiwins.com. We had some technical difficulties with the last one. I apologize. melwinskawaiwins.com. Brand new format. It's a very nice. Sarah Thompson is our webmaster, who's spent hours and hours and hours. In fact, she's sitting right next to me here working on the website as we speak. So thank you, Sarah. But that is live. melwinskawaiwins.com. Please visit it. It's a really nice site. A lot of testimonials, which we want to really share with the public, that there's a lot of people that support our direction that we want to go on, and we want to just get the word out. Billy DeCosta, aloha. Derek Ibaan, Penny, Sweetie, Luke, welcome aboard. Billy DeCosta, please chime in if you have any comments. Appreciate you joining us on board. Billy is running for county council as well. I give anybody credit. Anybody that decides to run for public office, much mahalo. I think it's a tough decision to make. It affects aloha, Billy. Affects not just the candidates running, but their families and everybody else. So mahalo to everyone that puts themselves out for public office. I enjoy what I do. I got to tell you, it comes with its highs and lows. But overall, I mean, I've been on a council now for 14 years. And I got to tell you, it's been 14 rewarding years. I have enjoyed my time on the council. It's actually difficult knowing that I won't be on this council after December. Obviously, that's why I'm asking for your support to continue to serve this beautiful island as your mayor. So again, some dates: November 6th, general election, absentee ballots next week, October 16th. We are having a Waimea debate. This will be the final debate of the election season. It's at the Waimea Theater on October 16th, it's interesting because that's the same time that the ballots go out to the absentee voters. So we hope everyone can join us there, and it'll be an interesting debate. It'll be the first time in the history that we'll be able to question each other and share our philosophies, really, our direction and the plans going forward. Derek and I, there's a lot of similarities, but yet there are some differences that, that's what we are trying to share with the public, that I believe we have two solid candidates, just that there's a little bit of differences, and that's what we want to share. And hopefully the people agree with my direction, and I get to serve all of you. What's up with our mess out here in Honolulu 2K? Need a cap on long-term rentals, a cap on long-term rentals, or low government loans so our kids can pay towards their own. I'm not sure, Luis, if you can explain the cap on long-term rentals. I'm not sure if you mean short-term rentals or if you mean TVRs. We all know what the TVRs have done to our communities throughout the island, and yeah, more prevalent on the North Shore. However, it's not limited to the North Shore. It's out in the west side. It's in my neighborhood on Makani Road in Wailua House Lots. I think if you followed Facebook Live or you've seen my responses, you know, I am no fan of illegal vacation rentals, and we need to get them out. And I plan a very aggressive enforcement strategy on the TVRs with very high fines, which, you know, years ago I introduced a bill that set the fines at $10,000 a day. That got passed unanimously, and I plan to use that as a tool in the enforcement effort. So, you know, I went out to Wainiha for the forum a couple of weeks ago, and going along that road as the convoy went through, I'm no engineer, but I believe that it's going to take a very long time to return the North Shore to what it used to be now. As I speak to the residents of the North Shore, they're actually kind of happy that the tourists, the visitors now cannot get out there. So it's really bringing back that North Shore, Ke'e Beach, Wainiha, Ha'ena, to a state where the residents really appreciate. And, you know, I'll do my best as a mayor to work with the state to put limits out there for visitors to get out to Ke'e Beach, and not just Ke'e Beach and Ha'ena Beach Park, but also to Koke'e on the west side and up, basically up to the canyon. We gotta protect our resources. And yes, I love the tourists, but we have too many of them, and we really got to start realizing that and accepting that, and start making sure that we don't kill the goose that lays the golden egg. But we're not going to compromise the quality of life of our residents that live here and work here and drive here, and that is a very high priority for me. We got to get a handle on this relatively quickly. So I'm not sure. Again, Louise, I'll follow, and hopefully I'll come up with your additional question. The Electric Power Authority was another one, because we have a. I'm sorry, this is going back to the charter amendments. I'm going to jump around as the questions come up. But the Electric Power Authority, you know, Kauai is unique that we have a utility co-op, which I fully support. It puts the control of the leadership of the utility co-op in the hands of the voters. So that is to remove the Electric Power Authority. Again, I consider that a house cleaning. I would vote yes on that. We don't need that anymore because of the cooperative, electrical cooperative. Hi, Grace, Sunny, aloha. Oh, okay, I missed one here. Hold on here. You are an icon on our council. Billy, if I could kiss you, I would. You're a sweet man. Thank you very much. There was a question here. I'm sorry I missed it, but it was about overheating kids on the field. You know, I got to tell you, thanks, Brianna. I got to tell you, I have been fighting for this bird issue. Myself and Councilmember Kagawa actually went up to Congress years ago and fought really hard to try to get a temporary variance during our football season so we could at least let our kids play at night. You know, they're not listening. I got to tell you that this Endangered Species Act, which this county got convicted of violating years ago, we got found guilty and we were put on probation. We are no longer on probation. And the mayor has created this plan, which I got to give him credit. We now have been getting an extra game a year, and they're finding out that we have seen no birds drop, even with the night games that we currently have, or that we currently had. This week or last week we went back to the daytime. But we still continue to fight for that. And obviously, as a mayor, I'd have a little louder voice. We did not use the health argument because, you know, this is what we heard at Congress. High school football is a prep for college. And when you go to college, you're playing during the day, your Pop Warner's playing during the day. That, in fact, coaches got to learn or teach the kids how to hydrate better. You know, I'm kind of torn on that. I agree that playing in a hot afternoon sun with the high humidity here is dangerous. But there's also a cultural impact that we really use up in DC, because we're on a small island. Friday Night Lights were a part of our culture, and the impacts that daytime games are having on our schools and the KIF at the gate and at the food booths are really creating a problem. So it's not just the safety of the kids. It's not just the impact on our culture that we've had. It's a combination of both. And I believe that, yes, we got to be patient on this, but I believe that as we go through this and the feds are realizing these birds aren't falling because of the lights. They're not the stadium lights. We spent millions of dollars on these lights to shield the lights. So I'm hoping that we within the next year or two, hopefully we will be back and having all the games at night. I hope that answered your question. Long-term rentals are $2,800 to $3,800. Oh, you mean the cost? Louise, I'm sorry, I'm jumping to your question now. Long-term. This is almost like speed dating. It's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Long-term rentals. You're talking about the rent rates. If you look at my housing plan, I do. If you go on my website again, melwins.com, you'll see the affordable housing plan as well as my traffic plan. And in my affordable housing plan, you'll see rent control. I offended quite a few people, but I'm real. I think most of you that know me understand that I'm going to tell you how I feel. That may not necessarily equate to what direction a council, a future council, if I'm the mayor, will take, but I will tell you what I feel. I feel that there are many homeowners on this island that have taken advantage of the inventory issue, had taken advantage of the fact that we are in a housing crisis, and they have become greedy. And they're taking advantage of our people who are looking for homes desperately and charging these outrageous rents. So I am looking at rent control in a sense that will incentivize those that are willing to provide these housing units to people at an affordable rate. We currently have taxing incentives, but we got to look deeper and find out what will create more inventory on these units. Louise, that 2,800, 3,800. I keep repeating myself. My daughter and my son are in Oregon because they can't afford it to live here. That's not fair. And my kids are just two of many, and many more to come. So unless we get a handle on this and we start creating opportunities for our kids to stay on this island, we're going to lose them all. This will become a playground for the rich and famous. I've said this over and over again. And that's one of the, I think, differences between me and my opponent is that, and I'm not saying I'm right and he's wrong. I think I'm right, but we need to cater to our residents right now. We're losing them. We're losing our residents to the mainland because we cannot provide an affordable environment for them to live in. So until we get a handle on that, I do not think that we should be bringing in more businesses and more massive homes and more high rents. That in fact, development needs to be controlled, and it needs to be controlled at a level where our kids can stay here and our families can stay on Kauai. Every day, people are moving away because they simply cannot afford it. So while I'm not against development, I am against development that are being done at the loss of our local families and local residents. So I hope that makes sense. But obviously, you can see the tone of my voice. It kind of irritates me when you get people that, because they raise these rents, and who can afford them? Not our local families. And so now you end up with 2 families, 3 families, 4 families living in a home. I spoke to somebody, was last night, I was at Kilauea at a farm, and he said, in Princeville, the parking is so bad because at the condo units, they get more cars than units. Well, that's because you got more than one family living in a condo unit. They're renting out rooms, and because there's no housing available. So again, one of the first things that I will do, December 3rd is inauguration, December 4th, the first thing, redefine affordable housing from 140% of median income down to 100. And focus the incentives on the development of affordable housing of 80% and below. That will put it in the ballpark where our local families can afford. So anyway, obviously a very, very touchy subject for me because my 2 kids are on the mainland. So appreciate the question, Louise. And yes, we got to get a handle out on the North Shore. And I will tell you that the vacation rentals out there, bed and breakfasts and Airbnbs are not helping at all. And we really need to go after them. Someone told me that, hey, Mel, there's a lot of local people that have vacation rentals. From my experiences out on the North Shore, these are all absentee owners. These are people that purchase investment properties, and we're told that they can pay their mortgage by running it as a vacation rental. I have absolutely no aloha for them, that we can get the vacation rentals out of that and turn those units back into market rentals. Even at market, you increase inventory on the island, and that over a period of time will allow you to create more opportunities. Kits, not kids. Kits, not kids. Okay, I gotta try and decipher that one. Hey, Jay, mahalo all you guys. Ed. Well, we got a bunch of you on here. What's the plans with our roads? Traffic is getting worse as time goes on. Terrence, again, melwins, kawaiwins.com. Get a copy of my traffic plan out. You know, one of the biggest things I think that we'll strive for is to utilize the existing cane haul roads that are not being used. Working with the private landowners, you know, this county will only survive if we create partnerships with the private sector, whether it's A&B or Grow Farm, the state. We got to create partnerships that will allow us to utilize those cane roads to get cars off of the highway and onto alternate routes. I believe this will work. My opponent disagrees, but we are not going to get a new highway, people. In most of our lifetimes, I don't know how old all of you are, but as I see it in my experience in this county with the state, and being told straight up, flat to our faces, that the state will not even think about the new highway until the funding is available, which who knows when that will be. So I don't anticipate a new highway in my lifetime, but we cannot sit back and wait. We cannot sit back and wait for the state to do something. What's available now is a network of cane roads that aren't being used that we could use and get cars off the road. In addition to that, starting with the county staff, adjusting work schedules. You know, so people don't have to be in office at 7:45 if they don't have to. You know how many people are driving in, all in that congestion, getting to work before 7:45, and they don't really have to. Their job function within the county, they can start at 10, or they can start at 5 in the morning. Flex their schedules based on their convenience. Some of these moms or dads, they want to take the kid to school. So let them take the kid to school, relax, give them a good breakfast, go back home, relax, and then come in at 10 o'clock. Not every single job in this county requires them to be there at 7:45. So I think that alone will take some cars off the road. Now, hopefully the state will follow suit. Hopefully the private sector hotels will follow suit. And the bottom line is we got to get vehicles off of Kuhio Highway and Kamuli Highway. The other problem, well, let's stop there. I'll finish up later with the rest of my plan, because there's a bunch of questions coming in. What about OEDs, the OED office, festival support? Thomas, if you could be more specific. I know we fund the Office of Economic Development. One of the things that I've talked about is, you know, really creating that office or evolving that Office of Economic Development to become true economic development. Right now, a big part of their function is to be the clearinghouse for grants that come in, and they're managing grants. The grants that we get, and I appreciate all the grants, whether it's from KPD or the prosecutor's office or housing and elderly, those grants need to be managed by those departments and not OED. Economic development needs to be out there and figuring out how we're going to get the tech centers out there filled with tenants. How are we going to get jobs created on this island so our kids can stay on Kauai and live here? So that is the job of an Office of Economic Development office, and that is the job that we want to do. And so as far as festival support, again, you know, our budgets get tighter and tighter every year. Collective bargaining takes a huge chunk out of our budget. This year we'll be paying taxes on the GE tax. You know, the GE tax is a bad tax. I didn't support the tax. 6-1, I did not vote for the tax because it affects the poor. My opponent supported it, and he said he thinks that's the right thing to do. I just happen to disagree. When we get Thomas, when we get to that debate at Waimea Theater, that's one of the topics I hope that come up, because I think people need to understand taxing the public is very simple. It takes 4 votes on the county council. You draft it up, pass it, boom. Yes, 0.5% may seem little to someone with a lot of money, but I can tell you what, it affects my household. It affects people on fixed income. That's why I didn't support it. And I don't believe that we should be looking at taxing anyone right now, because I believe our budget in the county has room to cut. That's just my observations. The last 2 years on the budget, I've proposed removing all vacant positions that haven't been filled in the last 500 days. Unsuccessful. Couldn't get the 4 votes to cut. So we are there with vacant positions being funded with your tax money, and at the end of the day, those funds are being used for other purposes. So I disagree with that process, and I don't support it. And taxing the people right now, when we have all that fat in the county government, I think is not the right way to go. And check my record. I mean, I've voted against all tax increases because I just don't think we've done our fair share on the county side, on the administrative side, to reduce taxes. I told the mayor, you want to raise $1 million in taxes of our people, then you show me $1 million of cuts. You cut $1 million, I can probably sell the $1 million in revenue generation off of taxes dollar for dollar. That hasn't been done. Until that happens, I'm not supporting any tax increases. We will have to do more with less, which brings up another part of my plan, which is conducting staffing audits, performance audits within the county, starting with the mayor's office. How many people do we really need in the mayor's office to function effectively, efficiently, and also all the other departments? Because I believe we have a lot of employees at the higher end, at the appointed level. Now you're probably saying, yeah, Mel, right? Yes, talk is cheap. Well, that's the plan, is to look at the staffing needs of all the departments and making adjustments. Duplication of services need to be taken out. We need to do more with less. And people say, Mel, you ain't never going to do that because the unions. Well, I've said time and time again, the union contracts are developed for the employer and the employee. There are sections in the union contract, the collective bargaining agreement, that allows counties to do restructuring or to do reclassifications. I don't plan on going there and violating the collective bargaining agreement. That is not what I'm going to do, but I will work with that agreement to make sure this county is run in the most efficient manner. Dicky Chang, aloha, Marla and Stephanie, thank you for joining. Ed McDowell, house price goes up, rent goes up, interest rate goes up, rent goes up, more government control, rent goes up. Yes, Ed, I agree. And, working with the real estate community, I think, is going to be key in my administration in getting ideas of how we can best service our community. We got to get people in homes. And, friend's daughter bought a house, mortgage is over $3,000. What happens if someone gets sick? What happens if there's something in the economy, and how are they going to pay their mortgage at $3,000 a month? Woo! So anyway, we got to get a handle on it. And again, I talked about it earlier, public-private partnerships. I think the private sector can do it much quicker and cheaper. There's also a very important statute in the state law that grants the mayor's authority to designate experimental parcels for affordable housing, which will allow our developers, our private developers, to come in, develop these projects, and it could be single-family homes, it could be townhouses, duplexes, without the hassle of waiting 9 months for a permit. They can start the construction without the permits. That's just one of the avenues that has not been used by this administration, which I plan to use, because we can get a lot of homes built, utilizing that authority that the state gives the mayors. So yeah, that's one way I think we can expedite some of these units being built. I feel at this time we need to be a resident. You need to be a resident to purchase property. Living in America is a great thing. We have a constitution, there's constitutional rights. I know some countries, you cannot. If you're not a resident, you cannot buy. That legal challenge, it'll be very tough to I'm not sure, Luis. I wish there was a way we can do that you got to have been a resident here for so long. Constitutionally, it's just not something we can do. But again, we can make it difficult. I keep going back to the vacation rentals, because once we get rid of the illegal vacation rentals and force these owners to either do long-term or sell, the new buyer that comes in will not want to buy a property at that exorbitant prices if they cannot generate revenue. So that'll correct the market to some extent, especially on the North Shore. It's not going to solve all the problems, but we got to take this thing step by step and do what we can. And I'm just looking, what are the quickest ways we can solve some of these problems, and that's one of them. But it's aggressive, consistent, fair enforcement, not you can, no, you no can, you can, you no can. No, everybody, sorry, that's the deal. And if you cannot come into compliance, then you're done. Okay, I cannot say that enough. Jerry Nishihiro, the best way our children can compete with mainlanders is the higher education and better paying jobs. Naturally, they should be given first dibs with that feather in their hat. Yeah, you're right, Jerry. And, education is very important. And I know that. My son graduated from Western Oregon. I wish we had a more affordable college. Here, even in Hawaii, it's expensive. My daughter, she did it differently. She got her associate degree here in Kauai, spent very little. Oh, okay, Ed, I got to smile. I need to smile more. Got a very good education right here at Kauai Community College, and she's in Oregon right now and trying to get big smile. Okay. And she's going to get her bachelor's up in Oregon. So again, the cost is, and yet education is vital. And I would hope that our employers, as they are looking for candidates for their positions, would really consider the local kids first. That's something that I obviously, as a mayor, even as a mayor, cannot control. But you would hope that they want to. I work at Timbers Resort as a night auditor, and started there before they opened in June. Before that, I was at Kauai Beach Resort. So I've been working in this industry as a night auditor full time, 5 nights a week, from 10 to 6. Timbers policy, wherever they open up a resort, is they hire the local residents. So if you go to Timbers, you'll see all your neighbors, nephews, all working. It's all local people. Beautiful policy. It works. And you would hope that more people would follow that lead. Makoto Lane, any new bypasses have to be protected from further development. Otherwise, it will lead to more traffic. Absolutely right, Makoto. That's why I like the partnerships, the canal roads, because there is, these are privately owned lands. We don't have control over what they do. However, future development of these lands will have to come before the Planning Commission and the County Council. So the fact that we're utilizing these unused roads at this time, I think, is protected. And it will not encourage these developers to develop any more than they already are encouraged. So I think we're safe with that. The bottom line is there is no better solution right now. And it's temporary. It's an interim measure. Obviously, Makoto, if that causes a problem, then we can always revert back. But my point is that as I look at this thing from the 30,000-foot view, the real way to do this is, and again, this is not the only solution, because it's still, you're not going to get rid of all the traffic. We currently have a bus efficiency study that was recently completed that is being implemented as we speak. It's working well. They just announced some new routes, because we were having routes where buses were driving around empty, as well as some that were being overflowed. So there's a lot of components to the traffic issue here. The biggest one is we got to focus our energy, our man hours, woman hours in our county to fix these congestion issues, rather than the amenities that we're seeing on Rice Street or at Hardy Street, the fancy little roundabout. We need to take our energies to the critical issues that are affecting us today, which is traffic congestion, road condition, as well as infrastructure and sewers and landfills. So yes, I share your concern, Makoto. And the intent here is not to open up bypass roads, is to create further development in those areas. Not at all. The sole intention is to really get cars off of Kuhio and Kaumuli'i as an interim measure. For or against minimum wage increase, that's a tough one. I wish I could say I want to see the minimum wages increased. As a businessman myself that had employees at one time, and as I speak to a lot of the small business owners on Kauai, I think the collateral damage and unintended consequences will be detrimental to our small community, our small economy, and it's just unfortunate. I think you'll see more automation. I think when you look around McDonald's, when you look at some of these fast food restaurants, the rental car agencies, you're already starting to see kiosks that replace humans because the cost is just too high. I really wish I could answer that in the positive way, but the bottom line, my opinion right now, based on what I know, and anything I say is subject to change with the right information. But as I look at the facts presented to me